Here we go.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Get Out, a podcast about nothing, where we are breaking down every episode of Seinfeld weekly. Sometimes we'll have special guests, and sometimes it'll be just us. I'm Elizabeth, or Novelnomad.
I'm Franknfoot.
And I'm Mama.
Yep.
So Seinfeld is our favorite sitcom. So let's start, and can everybody just say how you got into Seinfeld? So for me, I'm married to you, and I never watched Seinfeld at all growing up. And then when we got together, he started showing me, different episodes. And then eventually we watched most of them. We've watched every single one of them together, right? No, not all of them.
Nope.
Okay, so this will be my first time watching the whole series all the way through. What about you?
I remember just it being on every week when I was a kid because of Mom. And I don't remember every episode. I watched episodes later on in the future. I remember that one when I was a child and stuff. But that didn't happen as often, and it doesn't happen anymore as much because I just know him now. Mm-hmm. But she had it on all the time growing up. Mm-hmm. So,
how many times do you think you've watched the show all the way through? Or maybe if there's a season that you've watched multiple times.
Oh, there's no. The first episode. The first question was easier.
Oh, okay.
Probably 5 times all the way through.
Okay.
See, if the show started in season 4, I'd have seen it like 100 times through. Uh-huh. You've seen season 4 through.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we started at 4, but we're gonna go through all of them now. So yeah.
Mom, what about you? When did you get into Seinfeld?
I was probably around, I don't know exactly what year, but definitely around season 3.
Okay.
I didn't really like it, to be honest, at first. So we were all just kind of like,
Yeah.
And it really, it was probably around season 3, season 4, because it was on. And I used to watch it a lot with my bestie, Nicole. And we'd watch it whenever we could catch it, and basically as they would come out every week. Okay. So it's pretty cool.
Shout out to Nicole, because that's like, if I remember when I was a kid, I remember Seinfeld. Yeah. I remember pickles and cream cheese and Mom and Nicole. So that's what I remember. I remember that before more than the episodes. Like I'd remember little pieces of the episodes. Uh-huh. But over time, when I watched them so many times, it just became a new, it's just a new memory now.
Yeah.
That was what we did, though. We always watched movies. She was always my TV and movie person.
Mm-hmm. So this week we're talking about the very first episode, which I guess is officially just titled Seinfeld, right?
Well, No. According to Netflix, it is, and that's wrong.
Is it?
Okay, so tell us about all the different possible titles.
So it's the Seinfeld Chronicles,
okay,
and it was supposed to be called the Seinfeld Chronicles.
Uh-huh.
Jerry wanted to write a show about life for a comedian in New York, showing their day-to-day, them at the laundromat, them at the cafe, and then them doing their routine that night. And you'll see too, this episode aired July 5th, 1989. And in the middle of summer, had no hope.
That's so random.
NBC did not even care. They just put it out there.
Yep, they just put it out there.
For 10 months.
Oh,
yeah. Episode 2 is 10 months later in 1990.
Wow.
Another thing Netflix gets wrong because it says 1990. The show started in 1989. But that's neither here nor there. We'll point out stuff like that as we go. It's just the first episode was on Netflix. On the Netflix version, I noticed I was like, Seinfeld. Just Seinfeld. I was like, okay, that makes sense. I was like, that doesn't sound right. And I was like, the Seinfeld Chronicles, that's definitely, that's the right episode.
I remember we talked about it, son, and I said, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
I said, it just says Seinfeld on Netflix. And I said, I don't think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, very strange. So Seinfeld. So we're gonna talk about that first episode.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Before we dive in, though, what did you two think about the episode as a whole?
Okay, so I'll go first, I guess. So for me, I think maybe you probably remember, but do you know had I ever seen that episode before? Okay, yeah. So that's what I thought. So that was my first time watching an episode of Seinfeld from the very first season. And I mean, with all sitcoms, you can definitely tell a difference from like season 1 to later seasons. It was really interesting because I could see the like pieces of what the show would become, right?
Mhm.
So it, the show opens in a diner, but it's not the diner. It's like an old version. And then there's, the different comedy bits that Jerry does, the different stand-up bits that he does throughout the episode, that they kept, but it eventually was just at the beginning and end, right?
Yeah, this episode has 4 comedy bits in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see 4 again. I know for the first few seasons we see more than 1. And eventually it's just 1, and then eventually it's none.
They don't do any.
Yeah,
That's what I was going to point out, that the episode has. I think you notice too that the credits actually run. They get to the point where later they have to use all of their time, for the episode to fill. So
That's
you
good.
notice they're just filling space. They're
Yeah.
filling space because it's new and they're not. They're figuring it out.
Okay.
But I think
that makes
that, and also Corey pointed out that's a real audience where he was actually live in front of in those clips.
I don't know if y'all noticed this, but in one of the clips, at least one of the clips, you could see the audience smoking, which is crazy. Like, I mean, I know that used to be legal, but it's just kind of crazy
The
to me.
difference in the time, because you could sit in the club and smoke, and it's so
Jerry wanted for this first episode, at least, because I think the way the episode was, the beginning episode was supposed to be how the show went from there, but it obviously wasn't, because you're going to see a big difference in episode 2, immediately. It's already a difference.
Absolutely.
And we're going to see Jerry wanted smoky club. He wanted that feel of New York comedy life. And then, so the show wasn't, I think he wanted more mockumentary, and it turned into just nothing. Like, really, there's just, Jerry and George are just not really doing a lot. They're just talking about buttons. They're talking about mattresses. They're talking about
literally anything that's just normal, normal everyday stuff. And it really is about nothing.
Yeah.
So, I like the concept of it wasn't about nothing. And then they come up with a concept about let's do something about nothing. So it's just clever all the way around.
Yes. Yeah. So we covered the title. Yeah, the laughter was genuine. Those audience was not paid to laugh. They were actually laughing. And again, he wanted that authentic experience. The Nielsen rating, I had a hard time finding these. I know if we get the DVDs, we can kind of retroactively go back, maybe on a special.
Yeah.
The first episode had 15.4 million viewers.
That is crazy. Like in today's numbers, that's an insane.
It's very crazy. And it was a horrible number back then.
Yeah.
In 1989.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's a very bad number. But nowadays, it's like
unheard of. Yeah. Back then, it's nuts.
I love the first thing they say is the beginning monologue, which is Jerry is ripping into George about his buttons.
Yeah.
And he's saying that button's in no man's land. It's too high. We hear this monologue very famously later in the show. It'll be a long time from now. But it's cool how the first dialogue starts off with just George trying so hard to just, like, when he's across from Jerry, I've noticed in the show, and it starts right here, he instantly doesn't know what to say, doesn't know what to do. Jerry already has them all scrambled up, like, hey, what is this button doing? And George is like, dude, I just bought it because it's purple. Like, I'm not prepared to overanalyze a button, but there's their relationship.
Yeah.
So this is our tone for the rest of our life.
Yeah, like I definitely
clever.
that. Yeah, like the idea that the show might physically look different, but Jerry and George are the same people.
Absolutely. throughout.
Show, and their relationship is the same too. Like
Yes.
Jerry, I think, uses making fun of George or messing with George to make him feel better.
Yeah.
Because like Jerry's a very anxious person, you know?
Yeah.
And George, messing with George makes him feel better. And then George kind of does the same thing in reverse. Like he...
Yeah.
It's true. And it's true. And you see the relationships with Kramer and Elaine and even Newman evolve, but him and George start out.
Yeah, it's exactly
the same. They stay that way.
It stays that way.
Yeah.
It does too.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. So they, right away we're talking about just buttons, and it's just in a cafe. We have a woman appear who only appears in this episode, who intended at the beginning to appear in every episode. She was supposed to be the fourth person, the female, the Elaine, as you will.
Mm-hmm.
Her name's Claire. I'm going to look up real fast the actress. What were
I meant to do that and totally didn't.
I'll look up right now, real quick. No worries. What were your thoughts on Claire while we're doing that?
She was the waitress, right?
Yeah, she was.
I don't know. Like, I didn't know that she was supposed to be the fourth person on the show.
Yeah, she actually was a thought. That was their thought at first, as a female instead of a friend of his. Elaine is actually, supposed to be a friend, obviously, or an ex-girlfriend friend. That he actually, the only girlfriend that he ever keeps in touch with, is interesting too.
Yeah, which is so, I definitely want to talk more about that once Elaine shows up.
Because she's not in episode 1, so.
Right.
Yes.
She hasn't appeared yet because they didn't know how to write for a woman.
True. Lee, the first episode was written by Jerry and Larry David and Jerry, just those two.
Oh, okay.
We don't get to the other writers right away, at least not yet. So, which makes sense for the first episode, how long of a gap it was between the second one. It'd just be Larry and Jerry.
No, I understand that too. Yeah.
Lee Garlington portrayed her, and she was the waitress of Pete's Luncheonette. It was not Monk's.
I knew it. I knew that it was not Monk's until a later time when I don't think it was a big deal. It just, they say it.
It became Monk's.
And it's just changed. Just like
I know. Well, it may not be Monk's in full in the next episode, but it will be the right diner. So,
the right
set with the right spot. And so Lee Garlington was Claire, and she was intended to be stay in. See if I can find a little more on what we got going on here, but so far
she
so
was pretty
good.
Popular in the 80s sitcoms. Yeah. She was popular, and everybody liked her. I could see why they casted her.
Yeah.
Because she's great.
She was great. She absolutely was. She was great. Her chemistry was George was good.
They were just, she's very kind of dry. It was great for them.
Yeah. It was good. She did great. I noticed the standout in the episode, honestly, was Jason. Jason is he was he was hired for that role. Such a good actor anyway, immediately was. He's so good at what he does. He's so good at being instantly cringe and a little bit just you just get a little embarrassed. He's so good at it.
It's that comedy where you feel, oh gosh, you're just
Larry David.
Yeah.
So we've been joined by our official podcast cat, Peter.
Yeah, there's Peter.
Yeah. So one thing that I did find, it wasn't off. It just was interesting. The biggest thing about George that was different is I'm not used to him having money. He was fully employed in this episode. And
he doesn't seem cheap. Right? Yeah, he's not talking about the cheapness. Yeah.
Right. And so it just he bought a brand new shirt,
yeah.
It just was kind of funny to me.
That's funny. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
I didn't either, because there is actually a couple episodes where he's very free with his money.
Well to do.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not just that woman. I know there's another couple times maybe, but he's more free with his money, and it's not the typical George you see later.
Yeah, I'm just used to the George that's living at his parents.
Yeah.
or he's hiding in the office with the good bathroom because he
Yes.
leave the job. So it's just a different portrayal.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good point. I never thought of it like that. That you had only seen like already George was like pretty loser, hardcore loser.
Yeah.
So fun fact about George, another interesting note, and I knew this too. Every time I watched, I knew this goes back to it. But George in this episode preaches, always do the opposite. And he never talks about it again until, we'll get to that episode a long time
Even
from now.
Jerry says, well, do you? And he goes, no, I don't. Or something like, he doesn't say, no, I don't. But he says, I don't. But basically, you're just like, dude, why? Like, why? Like, it works for you. It makes me so mad.
Okay, so like the basic plot of the episode, right? Jerry has got a call. He's gotten a call from this woman that he met in Michigan.
It was Detroit, I think, right?
In Detroit. And
somewhere in something Michigan for sure.
Okay.
He was out there and then met this woman at his show.
And then she called him and said, very important, the wording of this. I had to come into town for a conference. Maybe we'll get together. Or maybe, what did she say? Maybe I'll see you tomorrow.
Maybe we'll get together.
The words George points out was, I had to, and maybe.
Yeah. So, okay, so here's my question, because they asked Claire, or George asks Claire, how would she interpret this? Because Jerry is thinking, oh, we're definitely going to go on a date. George says, no, absolutely not. So what do you guys think? If you got that phrasing from somebody that you were trying to date, how would you interpret that? I had to come into town.
I would interpret it as George kind of hit it on the head. I've been that person.
Mm-hmm.
You are the standby, like just in case my other plans don't work out, because of the key words there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly.
But it is awful odd that she actually is staying with a guy that she just met, and the fiance is not obviously okay with it. But it's like, what made her think that any of that was okay? Because it was free? I mean, it's
extremely mixed signals to me, right? Yes. Because Jerry, like, I agree with George at the beginning. Like, if I were Jerry, I would not have gotten my hopes up. I just would have been like, okay, well, maybe she'll call me. Maybe we'll hang out. But if not, that's fine. But then when she asks to stay with him,
So I get where Jerry's coming from. Real fast, just want to interject just a little bit, because it's more of a middle ground approach. Jerry is still going to look at George though and say, yeah, but she's still going to stay at my house, so I'm going to go with it. So I would have still be like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
The boat ride, I don't know about that, but everything else, sure. Like
that is really weird too.
The boat ride sounds like fun to me. I would do the boat ride.
I would totally do the boat ride. Why would you stay with a guy you don't know?
Would you still? That's right.
5-hour boat ride with a guy you don't know. I mean,
you're not like. There's no. It's very strange.
Yeah. No, I think once I found out, she's engaged.
That's not.
I would be mad.
The boat ride isn't a thing now anymore. Yes. That's all. Other than that, pretty much the way Jerry did, I would do. In all the questions he asked, I would have asked too. Like I would have been very fair. And also, George did not give. I don't think he gave bad advice. He really tried to help. So
my one love of Seinfeld though is all of these episodes will make you question why.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody wins.
Why did she not want to eat? Like, we won't go into other episodes. We said we wouldn't do that. But there's so many things where you're just like, why? Like Jerry's got to know why, and you never. Sometimes you don't know why.
You don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the great. That's the great
first episode. I have a feeling the first episode's going to be a little stronger than the next few, because it actually, I didn't think it was that bad. Like it was.
I thought it was great.
Pretty fine.
For what
it was good.
Being the first, for being the pilot, and
it's solid. I could see it being run in the middle of July, and for no other episode following it, it's going to be very.
And I can see
I'm really curious to see.
There's a story. We need to get those DVDs. Okay. It explains them all.
In that episode, I really see Jerry's love for what he does.
Yeah.
You know, his love of being on that stage and working the material out. That's what he did. That's all he did. So were you see that in the first episode where you don't really see it later? If you come into Seinfeld, you would still see it, but not like that intimate.
Yeah, there's a point where the sitcom overtakes the stand-up.
Yes.
It became that. It totally didn't become what they wanted right away.
You're absolutely right.
For the better, but they didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
So I got a few quotes from the episode, and what is scrolling at the bottom is obvious what won, but like it was kind of hard. But also, I found more material for these quotes than I thought I would. So the first one was, "You're engaged. You're engaged." That was the first one.
That's definitely a signal to what's her name? What's the lady's name?
Claire?
Oh, I thought that was the waitress. Laura. If I were Laura, I would definitely pick up on that and be like, "Oh, did I mess up here? Did I, But she seemed pretty oblivious to me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing.
All right. My personal favorite episode of the show. Why don't you bring in an extra guy too? Like George said.
Oh, that's the best line ever.
So good. Yeah.
You're bringing in an extra bed. Why don't you just bring in an extra guy?
Came in, Jerry was laying out the new mattress.
Oh,
and George goes, "Why are you laying a mattress down for a woman that wants to sleep with you? What are you going to bring an extra guy in too?" Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was very
was funny.
Very funny.
Yes.
I love that. That was
very, very funny. Yeah.
George was great. So we got you got any meat?
Love it.
Oh yeah. We got to talk.
He's got a sandwich in his hand. We'll get to Kessler. He had a sandwich with meat overflowing already in his hand. Needs more meat. And
it was really gross looking.
It looks weird. The last one was what we went with. Decaf left, regular right.
Decaf
left,
regular right.
So that's what we went with. It's nice and perky and
that's
neat.
What we went with because it's cute.
Yes, it is.
So maybe we can do like in these episodes, we can do, because we're like probably about halfway through. We can do like, instead of a stand-up skit, we'll do quotes of the episode. Just read.
We could. We can have transitions, and you can even leave this in, Mom. I don't care. I like if people hear us talk about how we're going to do our work. That'd be cool too for them to hear.
No, I don't think.
Quick.
I think our first episode
we can have transitions, like a transition whoosh comes in, and it's like a little bit of the jingle with something else, and then we're onto this thing now. Anyway, so Ruth the cashier. Did you notice?
Better at that.
Mom, did you notice Ruth the cashier, or do you think it's not her? There was a cashier.
I forgot to even look. I forgot to even look.
It's either her or it's not. Maybe
I really don't know. I
think it was her. My bad. She's supposed to be in every episode. Fine, we'll keep on Ruth watch. I know she's in most of them. There's one more quote that was actually a pretty good front runner for the name of the episode. It's Signals, Jerry. Signals. Yeah. Which I mean, George is right.
He's trying to tell you, dude. There's too many signals that this ain't happening. Yeah.
So we'll get to who comes in the apartment in just a second. But Jerry's apartment, the first run.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
It's pretty much the same, right? Mm-mm. It's not quite the same.
Ooh, no.
I mean the furniture, obviously.
The structure is the same. The chairs, the couch.
The lighting is different. The lighting is
bad.
Very different.
So we might have to go back and check this, or whoever's listening, if you want to correct me in the comments or something. I feel like you don't get a clear shot of the bedroom. Like the hallway. Mm-hmm.
The bathroom of the hallway area that might not even been built properly yet.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I feel like it almost looks like a studio.
I think that comes in episode 2. I think we get that.
Yeah, they start changing it up. Yeah.
Because right now we got that side angle. We don't see the bedroom bathroom area really. Mm-hmm. So I noticed though we got a dartboard.
Yeah.
Okay. We got some baseball bats. Mm-hmm. And we have some posters. Mm-hmm. And I wrote literally some posters because it's just very like you can't really.
Yeah.
We'd have to really deep dive on the computer, and it's fine. We can get there one day, but I don't think we needed to yet. It was just cool to notice some things a little bit. Like we don't really see the cereal yet or anything. I don't see a Superman. There could be one, but I don't see it. There's a lot of baseball though. So Mr. Kessler comes in. All right. So We won't spoil what this man's first name is if you don't know it. We'll wait. That'll be a long time from now, but we'll find that out one day. But his name is definitely not Kessler. Mom, go. What do you know about Kessler? Who's that? Yeah.
Kessler is the neighbor across the hall.
Yeah.
Oh, he hasn't been out of his apartment in 10 years.
Oh, yeah, that was so crazy.
Or 9 years or something. 10, is it 10?
No, they definitely said 10
Jerry
years.
said 10.
Yeah.
You haven't left the building in 10 years.
That's very interesting. And I'm wondering if, okay, I mean, obviously everybody, I mean, are we just not going to say his name?
Well, we can say Kramer.
We can say Kramer.
Yeah, just not the first.
I don't want to say the first name yet. We actually legit can keep that as a surprise, I think. And for people that don't know and follow and watch the, because some people are going to come in legit seeing the show for the first time through us. And I don't want to spoil his first name. So until it's time to spoil his first name. It'll be a long time from now, but it'll be a good day when we do. So because they'll finally say it.
Oh, I got you. So okay, so we'll say Kramer. So
Kramer. We can say Kramer.
Apparently there was an issue with the name Kramer because Jerry had a real neighbor that did not want him.
Larry did.
That's why Kramer.
Larry David's neighbor, Kenny Kramer.
Oh, okay. Larry David, sorry. Larry David's neighbor said no. And they did it anyways or whatever. But so at first he was not going to be Kramer. That's why he isn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they still were so on the fence with Kenny Kramer throwing a fit about his name, which we find out again years from now. It's a whole nother episode. It's so funny. But we'll get there. Is Kenny Kramer was just throwing a fit. And like they were saying to him, like, I mean, Kenny, we can use Kramer. It's okay. Like, we're not naming him Kenny Kramer. We really, it's gonna be
not exactly your name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we can say it though. It's okay. It's not. And he was. It worked. Obviously worked out. And he could. Because Kenny Kramer couldn't do anything about it. But he was because Larry was his friend, and he's probably like, please. But like finally, so Kessler to be safe. But that is a reference again, long time, even later than the other references. Again, about how they correct that. I like how they shoehorn them in later, but at the moment, the first episode is full of some really weird paradoxes that just don't happen again. Speaking of Kessler, he has a dog.
Yeah.
He has a dog. Yeah.
How?
And I don't believe I ever see that dog ever again. Is that right?
And it's not, the show is not super. Like they're not animal people in the show at all.
They're not plant people.
So it's I don't know. I mean, like
I could see Kramer being good with a dog though. I really do.
Yes, I agree.
Because he walks dogs later. He does a bunch of stuff with dogs.
Yeah.
And like obviously they try to snuff one out, but we'll get to that. So
I believe Kramer is an absolute animal lover, but I don't think that the rest of them are.
Jerry and Elaine and George.
Jerry's too anal, and Elaine's just too. She's too flaky, and just probably would forget to feed it. And George is just no.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
His mom would end up taking care of it.
I think George would pretend he's a good at animals, but he's not. He would.
Yeah. He would definitely be the one to take the dog to the park to try and pick up chicks. Yeah. He would.
Oh, yeah.
if
that's where he thought he would meet chicks, he would do it.
Yeah.
True. So that's Kessler, you got Kessler's dog, you got just a weird looking apartment.
A lot of weird
Claire
things that you won't see again. Yeah.
Oof, Claire doesn't exist anymore. They're at a whole nother dime. We just at this point we might as well chalk it up to they're not at Monk's. They might as well be they're at somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe it's a totally different.
It's a different one. It has to be
different diner.
So
it was pre-Reggie's or something.
So we're gonna keep track too of the girl. Just one thing Mom and we talked about was we want this to be a notes about nothing kind of show. So a show anybody can go reference if they want facts, if they want to hear any of the stuff that mattered into the nitty gritty, which is a little bit of fun too. And the first, we're gonna keep a girlfriend boyfriend count, and we have one girlfriend now, Jerry, Laura, number one.
Yeah, so in talking about
technically,
I think we've got to have a debate. Does she count as a girlfriend?
Is it like Jerry's mind? Is it in Jerry's mind it was a girlfriend?
Or like maybe it's
she stayed the night.
Right. Maybe we're keeping track of like prospects, like people that he hopes will become girlfriends.
That's what I'm wondering.
It's funny because I wrote here Jerry girlfriend count 1. Maybe? Question
Yeah.
mark. Like, I don't even know.
Well,
Have you looked on any other sites that they count her as a girlfriend?
Yes, they do. They count her as one, but they
I think they count any female he actually has somewhat of a relationship with, because
technically we
why
don't
else
see
would
what
they count
happens.
her?
It's funnier if we don't. That's why we don't see it.
Yeah.
But also, she
Yeah.
did stay the night, and like even if nothing happens, like if
Yeah.
I was a guy friend, I'd be like, okay, that's a girlfriend to me.
Okay.
You can tell me all day, do nothing, all you want. Like
Yeah.
she stayed the night.
So we're kind of maybe a little bit past this moment in the episode, but I really want to talk
That's okay.
about
Go for it.
At the airport when he goes to pick her up.
Yeah.
What sane person this dude once to go up behind him and be like, guess who? Why?
Pre 9/11 flight travel.
Again.
Pre-pandemic.
Again, what I say holds true. Why are you sneaking up on him like that and staying with a man you don't know?
And the 2-hand grab thing that they did
for 2 nights.
I love George. George is like,
I don't blame him for being confused at that point.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
It is. Jerry's not in the crazy here, I don't think.
No, he's not.
I really watched Laura.
She is crazy.
This last watch, I looked at Laura, and Jerry's on the phone and says, yeah, she's just came in. I don't know what we're going to do yet. And you see her kind of like.
Yeah, and she,
like she bails. Like that was the turner. She was trying to feel him out on his reaction.
Because
she's
I don't think she stayed the night.
She kind of just was like, okay, fine. And then all of a sudden it was a whole different story after that.
Yeah.
That's just me. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's
the thing about Seinfeld. You will talk about the episode after because you'll be like, what? There's 5 different things going on and you want to know what happened.
Yeah.
And you don't. You just have to.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
You have to guess.
Yeah. So you kind of see, though, a different body language change from her after he kind of, because he doesn't know what they're doing yet. And he's like, well, I don't know yet. We'll see. And she's just like, He just seemed like all of a sudden, like that was the turn. Okay, never mind. I'm out. I'll just take the boat ride. Let's go eat.
I guarantee they didn't take a boat ride and she didn't spend the night.
Oh,
okay.
Also,
we're
going to now talk about, Jerry mentions his dad in the episode. We will meet him in the next episode.
Yeah.
I think the next episode, at least I might be wrong. Morty. So Morty Seinfeld, it was played by a few different people, as we'll see soon. But they apparently used to smoke. So Jerry has a quote when he goes, oh, my dad would move a couch. Oh, I got a cigarette in my hand. Oh, right here. Get your end. Right here. Back up. And I was just like, I never hear that he smoked before, which is fine. He could have quit years ago. But it's just interesting. It's kind of cool. Like, oh, if he smokes, all right.
Yeah, getting that like old background info on the character.
Yeah.
Yep. When they still kind of, still don't really know yet.
So I wrote boat ride worth. I don't know. 5 hours with her.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You want to spend another night and 5 hours on a boat? You don't even know me. I don't know. You were engaged.
I don't know.
She's whack.
So Jerry in his 3rd and 4th comedy routine in the episode, he does a lot of poking fun at men tropes. We're honking our horns and we're yelling out the window because we don't have.
That's really great shit, by the way. That's great.
Very good bit. Yeah. Like I love that bit because it's true. And he's like, we got nothing. We're out of ideas.
Yeah.
And that's
John was cracking up the entire time I watched that first. Yeah. When I rewatched it, he was cracking up the entire. It's so funny.
It is like it's so
true. Funny.
He's like we're out of ideas, which is very funny. Like, and that's very.
That's all we got is.
Yeah, and he's making fun of those tropes. He doesn't necessarily do them because I noticed later on the seasons he does the same thing. Any animalistic like high fives or he calls it caveman style. He doesn't like. It's great. So it's already Jerry being Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry's already being himself, very normal right away.
Yep. True.
And like on Netflix, like I said, it aired in 1990. It was 1989. If anything, we can correct Netflix here. That'd be kind of funny. So also the episode's called The Seinfeld Chronicles, not Seinfeld, which threw me off because I was like Seinfeld. Yeah, but I want to get the DVDs. I'd recommend anybody watching this, if you guys could find season 1 and 2, find it, buy it. And there's a feature on there called Notes About Nothing. it's a very deep dive into the actors, the directors, the writers, what they've done, any person that's guest starred on it, what else they've aired in at the time, all their credits up to that point for TV, movies, anything. Fun facts, backstage, off screen, you can hear somebody in the audience, and it might be one of the guests like trying to be louder, or you'll hear Larry David randomly. It's really cool, and we'll get back into that.
So it is really cool.
Yeah, we'll get, because I'm rusty on my like deep trivia knowledge on Seinfeld, and this will be good to kind of like go back up with it a little bit too.
Me too.
Down the road, we can play Seen It.
Oh, that would be
with our fans, and we can like do stuff.
We should do that. That would be very fun. Yeah, we'll do that.
We can do. There's a lot of stuff we can do, I think.
Yeah.
And now at this point, really, unless you guys can think of anything else at this point, we're just going to talk and kind of just let it ride the way it will ride. And the first episode will be wrap up within the next 10 minutes or so. But you got, ladies, anything else?
No, I mean, I think, let me check my notes, but I think
Mom, what was your favorite part about the episode? Just for fun.
Oh, I thought of one other thing that okay. So this isn't really relevant to the plot of the episode at all, but I think they ask some really important questions. So at one point they're in the laundromat and George is kind of in a hurry and he wants Jerry to be done. But
look, they're done.
And they ask a question. So George says, "Oh, you're going to over dry it." And Jerry says,
"Oh, I wrote that down. Those are great."
Yeah. So that's my question. Can you over dry something?
He said you can't over dry, you can't over wet, and you can't over dye.
So what do you guys think? I think yes, you can over wet something. Because for me, like my hair is curly and there's a difference. Like if I have it pulled back, just the surface will get wet versus if it's like all down, it'll get soaked through. So yes, you can over wet. But I don't know about over dry. I feel like yes, probably. But you would say no because you run the dryer like 3 times.
It's just easier to fold, though.
It's easier to fold.
If it's like warm and like and toasty, it's easier to fold it.
Yeah.
So like I keep it nice and crispy so I can fold it good. Yeah.
I like my clothes crispy too, but not as crispy as Kramer's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. No, like I say, I don't think you can over dry. I really don't think you can over wet too.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if it's not,
I think if it's wet, it's wet. If it's dry, it's dry.
Actually, really finally wet. I think before that it was wet. Like if you're soaked, you're soaked. I don't know. If you're soaked, you're soaked. Like
you really can't over dye either. So I think
there's situations like food. You can over dry food, and I guess with hair for sure. Actually, you know what? Because my hair is different anyway. Yeah, totally. I mean, if you can over wet,
you could totally over dry it and burn it. So yeah,
you do that too. Actually,
I think
you definitely can't over dye. That's for sure.
So Jerry,
was
Jerry right or was George right?
You can't over dry. You can't over dye. I don't know. I think George though just wanted to leave.
Yeah, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, because he just went up to the dryer and like
that's the worst.
He nudged it open and then went, "Look, they're done." Like it was it's like, geez. I love how nobody ratted him out too because all those people were watching.
Yes, I kept waiting. Those women who were standing behind, I kept waiting for them to chime in. I wanted.
Me too. I kept thinking they were going to.
They could have had a part of the episode and been in every episode. You never know. Yeah. I need to look up. Like we can retroactively look up too, like on stuff. If like I wonder who this. If those ladies were ever in. If that's their first background extra work, or they're really good at extra work, or they like requested.
Yeah, we'll discuss how there's different reappearing characters in the episodes.
We'll start seeing their stand-ins too. We'll start seeing like Jerry stand-in. He's in a bunch of episodes. Kramer stand-ins in a bunch of episodes. We'll see George a little bit, but mostly Jerry and Kramer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got our schedule. So like we have.
Oh yeah. Here's our wonderful calendar.
Yeah. Right there, episode 1. Which will air tomorrow on the 30th, November 30th for everybody. And that's Seinfeld Chronicles. On December 7th will be The Stakeout, episode 2.
Ooh.
That's going to be fun.
Episode 3 will be December 14th, will be The Robbery. Episode 4 on the December 21st will be Male Unbonding.
Male Unbond.
Yep.
That's a great one.
And it is. And that's December 28th, right before the end of the year. It'll be episode 5, the end of season 1, the stock tip.
Okay.
We will end season 1 before the end of the year. We will start season 2 January, whatever the heck. And just for a little quick
I think
preview.
it's the 4th or the 5th. Yeah, January 4th.
A little
The
preview.
Ex-Girlfriend. Oh, is that when Elaine comes in?
Ooh.
Okay, good.
And the Get Out will be there.
And then season 2, the Ex-Girlfriend.
We love the name.
Pony Remark, the jacket, the phone message, and then question mark, because I thought it was early, but it's not.
Nice.
But we got some good stuff coming, and it just gets better, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know in the comments, after people watch, like when did they start watching Seinfeld, or when did they actually start, and when did they actually start liking it? Did they like it right away?
Yeah.
Were they like me?
Mm-hmm.
Were they like you, Elizabeth, and hadn't seen it till like starting at season 4-ish?
Mm-hmm.
So like that's a good question for everyone.
I had to be very picky too with the show at first because I knew there was a lot to show her.
Yeah.
And I knew if I just showed her a few of them, she would just not get it.
Yeah, I was a Friends girly, so which I still love.
I love Friends. I have nothing.
I had
against Friends.
basically no
Friends was great.
exposure to Seinfeld, so
Oh yeah, to be so I showed her like
you curated the episode.
I did. I
Yeah.
showed her like the contests and the Virgin and
Yeah.
the.
And I would like to discuss that sometime too, Corey, and we will. When we actually, maybe are live and people can chime in. I would like to discuss that what episodes are your go-tos to convert someone or to just show them completely? Because a lot of people just say they just didn't like Seinfeld and they never went back to even try it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know our sister-in-law was watching it, and I remember she said she started at the beginning, and I was like, "Good luck." I was like, I almost said I wanted to say like just go to season 4. You'll probably keep watching it if you do.
Yeah.
Just at first, just to get you through it. Like
It's no offense, Jerry.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's hard, especially nowadays. There's so much to watch. I was like, yeah, just go to season 4, maybe 5, and you'd be like good to go for sure. Then at that point, but. That's still like I had to curate which ones to show her, but it took a minute. She did though. She liked it, and she has definitely seen season 4 through 9. She's seen the rest of them. Our ex roommate, shout out to Summers. He also I showed him like season 3 or 4, and he saw the rest of the show. So he hasn't seen the first few episodes either. And again, this will probably get him to watch the first ones, and hopefully our sister-in-law can go back on the new light on the first episodes. We'll see. That'd be great. I know everybody can definitely enjoy something out of it. So we got, coming up too, I want anybody in the comments or if you want to be guests on the show, just email, one of us. Just
if you have a favorite episode or.
You could just email that email address, the Mama's Maiden Studio @gmail.
Right there. Yep. Email Mama and she'll hook you up.
And we'll have
a different email. We might have a different email / whole thing next week, but we're working on it. And if you don't, it's fine. So, but we also will have, if you want an episode you want to call dibs on, even if it's 2.5 years from now, because we're going to do this every week, you're going to know what episodes will be coming. So you can look ahead and see which ones.
We could totally have you on for your favorite episode.
I want us to have exactly 180 episodes. So the episodes like The Boyfriend, that's a 2-parter. So the first week we'll do The Boyfriend, season 3. And the second episode will be a live episode for whatever, just because we can. We'll have other live episodes too for big ones, but also those double episodes, like the highlight episodes.
Right.
Like there's nothing to talk about again. It's just highlights.
Oh, right.
So we would just be a live episode. We'll talk and have fun.
That would be fun. Yeah, let's do that. That's fun.
That's how I figured that keeps us exactly at 180 because I don't want to mess that number up. And it still covers what we need to do. So
yeah, that sounds great.
So that's right now. Email that email. Email what she said. We'll have more links and stuff coming the next week or two. and we will have more guests and I don't know, like anything else?
Yeah.
Closing thoughts, or
No,
we missed something, or
yeah. Well, we hope you guys had fun listening. I think we had fun nerding out a little bit. I'm excited to keep going.
This episode, real fast, was directed
It'll
by,
be fun.
I don't know how to say his name. It's Tom Sharonis or Tom Sharones. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
He's going to direct a lot of episodes for a long time.
Okay.
He doesn't direct, I think, anymore after season 5, I think.
Okay.
But up until they build the street. Like once they build that street, it's just a different whole cast. Because they got money. Finally, NBC's like, oh, you guys are really good. And and then it's a whole different show.
Then it's a whole different,
It's a whole different thing. But I think he directs up until then, and it's a long time. And he doesn't direct every episode either. No. This first one's done by Art Wolf. Sorry about that. That was Art Wolf, which sounds like the guy from Law and Order, but that's Dick Wolf. So
yeah.
I did. I thought
Art Vandelay, Art what?
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Wolf,
Yeah.
they're all made up names anyway. Anyway, so yeah, it's just quick takeaways. The laughter was genuine. There's 4 comedy bits. It was July 5th, 1989. 15.4 million viewers on NBC. Claire, one and done. Ruth the cashier? Question mark. I don't know. It's a mystery. Maybe she was there. Maybe she wasn't. So we had, Jerry's weird apartment.
Current girlfriend count 1.
We have Jerry at 1 with nobody else. No. We have Kessler, weird name, but that'll get fixed too. He has a dog somehow. Cool. He's been in the building for 10 years for some reason. Weird. You don't hear that anymore. Morty smoked apparently. Yeah, like George wants to tell people to do the opposite, but doesn't do it himself. Yeah, this was
that's a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah,
a lot of notes. Like that's
the first episode. Yeah,
that is a jam-packed first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really think we might struggle a little bit. We'll see how the next few episodes go because I think there's more to name here than the next few.
Mm-hmm.
So, but right away though, next week, Elaine, Julie Louis-Dreyfus is in the show and does not leave sets. So, yep.
I'm very excited.
We love you, Julia.
She's awesome. So,
all right. Great show, guys. We hope to see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking with us.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is here we go. 1 down, 179 to go. Yeah.
Woo!
Woo!
Peace.
Bye.